Hello, patrons, and welcome to my channel. My name is Skura, also known as Islands in Front, but you already know it, and I'm really happy you clicked on this video today. We'll be analyzing one of my own games against Blue Black Terror. Some people are really afraid of this matchup, so I think this will be a great opportunity to demystify it and show you some example of interesting cases, especially or even if my opponent has insane draws, and how sometimes just scale matters more and plan and approach matters more than the cards you draw. Now, I'm playing as an unknown because that would be game one. I'm on the play and I see this hand, which is obviously insanely good. Turn one Seer, turn two Ninja, then I can off one Mind. I've got all the support. Perfect hand. So that's immediately a sniper. And I happily go for Fairy Seer. Now again playing as an unknown, and now again a decision point. I highly encourage you to stop the video and think for a brief moment. Now, what's the logic behind different plays? Whenever you've got a ninja hand, you have to ask yourself, what if my creature dies? Like this creature dies, right? Thankfully, that's not an issue because we've got Intruder. So we don't have to keep Miscreant because if this dies, we've got Intruder. Okay. What about Hacker? Well, Hacker allows us to go turn 2, Hacker, Seer, Replay, which is very nice. Which then sets up us, like we go wide, which sets up us even nicer for future turns. Because you can go turn 2, Hacker, Seer, turn 3, Ninja, put back Seer, for example. So I think Miscreant is not really needed. Hacker is really nice. We pass back, and opponent goes for Island. Okay, Island Pond. So I'm thinking Blue-Red Scred maybe at that point. So now we play a land and we go to attacks. And again, that's a question. What do you do? Do you Ninja of the Deep Hours or do you Hacker? And if so, do you Hacker Seer or do you Hacker Pass with Intruder? So at these spots, my logic is that if you go attack a ninja in, you draw a card naturally. But opponent untaps and kills it somehow, be it Scred, Lightning Bolt, or plays black and plays Snuff Out, Cast Down, or otherwise deals with it. Then I'm kind of empty on the battlefield, right? I have to rebuild. I have to redeploy creatures, pass again, and then wait for the turn to come back around and then hack, hopefully, right? And I don't really have any insurance policy. I've got any counterplay, no counter magic and stuff. So I think Ninja of the Deep Hours here is putting too many eggs in the same basket. And for that reason, I'm going to Hacker now. And I think that's really important to be able to distinguish these situations. So we Hacker in, we get a clean draw, Island, okay, so we Fairy Seer again. Sadly, we have double Seer with no information of what's going on on our opponent's side, but I think it's fairish to assume it's a fairish blue deck with some kind of removal and probably creatures like Terra. Double land, we've got 4 already. That's an easy bottom. Thankfully, an easy decision. So opponent goes Thought Scour, Deep Analysis, which makes me think, okay, it is a Terra deck, and it's a blue-black Terra deck. So I'm thinking probably some Snuff Out action. So what do we do about this? I play a land, and what do we do about this? So there are 2 lines, or 2 decision trees. Do you play around Snuff Out, or do you not? And don't make that decision immediately. Just track the decision trees, because maybe it turns out that you can play around Snuff Out by choosing a line that's not particularly worse than the other line. So if we don't play around Snuff Out, we could go like Giga All-In and go like attack with both Ninja the Ninja and then Ninja the Seer. Bam, draw 2 cards, be happy, they can't do much now, and then we end up with a counter spell. Okay. If they do have Snuff Out, then we could go attacks, just pass, see what they do, and if they don't pull the trigger on the Snuff Out, we wouldn't still know if they have it. We'll just deal damage and be happy about it and just pass back. So what I think is, we can start with Off One Mind, Because if they have Snuff Out and they want to pull the trigger, they will typically do it in like beginning of combat maybe. Some people are more cheeky, do it before damage to kill a ninja. But I don't want to see a scenario later that they deprive me of a type and then make Of One Mind more expensive. And because Intruder doesn't add much and 2 mana is perfectly enough for what I'm going to do this turn, I want to cash it in for the cheaper cost. Now, these are the cards I draw. Pretty good cards there, I say. So I want to go to attacks, and the opponent now snuffs out. Okay, so now I go, okay, you showed me your cards. Now I can very easily play around that by snapping my Haka, and now go to attacks. Now there's another question. Do we even Ninja here? Because we could go Haka with another Seer, we could go Ninja, but we already know that puts, again, those eggs into the same basket too much. They've got already 5 spells in the graveyard, so Serpent is relatively cheap. So their turn might be like Cantrip and then Serpent, and that's exactly why I just pass back, because that's their main counterplay. They're already at 13. If I counterspell the Serpent, I can multi-spell, and they just cannot really get back from that position. So they go Cantrip, Land, Serpent. So we are rewarded for our patience and kind of a roll assessment here. And we go to our turn. Now we see that we don't have any more counterplay for upcoming Serpents. But that doesn't mean we cannot draw into interaction. Because we could go kind of all in, we could split the difference. And so what I do here is just go to attacks, Ninja for 2 mana, draw, and let's see what happens. And we draw this. There was an alternative line, which is pre-combat start with Fairy Seer, and then Haka, and get a bit deeper. So that's another line. Now, I'm putting them on no Snuff Out right now, so I deploy the Ninja, and I will just double Seer. Now, I topped. I topped. So the other Seer was wasted. But I know I have Counterspell on top, so I just need to survive one time. This is their window. And oh boy, did they take advantage of the window. Oh boy, did they. Oh my god. And I was like, nah. No, opponent, no, why did you do this to me? But the way typically these matchups play out, the Terror decks, is we get onto the battlefield, and we generate some cards, go white on the battlefield, while they spin their wheels doing nothing. Then there will be a key turn where they unload the terrors, and from that position they've got much more power typically. But that's okay, because we have generated enough cards or board position that we can start attacking, but also just chumping, because we've got additional resources. And we can fly over them, so we have invasion, they don't. And also, at least one creature is kind of always tied, because there is a ninja that could hit them back. So we play our 5th land, because more lands the merrier. Like, this is not your typical aggro deck, mind you. And I can Haka, get 1 more damage in, put them down to 8, draw the second counter spell, and just very safely pass. But I decide that I cannot really deploy another creature. There isn't much they could do to threaten me, so actually I don't need to hold up double counterspell. That's also important. I could hold up double counterspell, but there are very few and unlikely compositions and permutations of cards that I think I would need counterspells against, plural. So I decide to just improve on my board position and hold up a single counterspell. For example, for their like Suffocating Fumes. I see Intruder and Hacker. Hackers are great. Intruder is meh, because it doesn't really add much, and we can just pass the 10 from this position. They're at 8, so they're actually pretty close to dying. Now, Modo just very quickly skipped through, but if you saw what happened, I just made Gurmak smaller and just took the damage in. And now I go to attacks. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I can hack it in while still holding up double counter spell. for the perfect 8. So even though my opponent just went boom, triple threat, that wasn't really an issue. And they attack with all, so they could have left, for example, 1 back or 2 back. So what would I have done in that case? Well, I would have gone attack with Seer, hack this in, attack you for 3 down to 5, replay the Seer, and they would still be on a deadly clock because I still keep attacking them in the air while they're attacking on the ground and they can jump. And then, as I said, ninjas tie some creatures down, so they felt like they just want to get the game over with in 2 attacks. But unfortunately for them, we've got the buff in the form of ninjas, we've got flash threats. And the turn where I didn't double counterspell, but I added more creatures on the battlefield was also important, because I would not have had 8 power now to call the game over. So yeah, so that was the game. I think that was pretty interesting. And a reminder that you can send me your replays like that, recorded, for example, in OBS, and as a video, MP4, and then you can just skip through your decisions and analyze them. Yeah, and I think that's all for today. Thank you for your support. I hope you find all this content useful. And as always, please remember to hold my hand and let's pass it in together. And I will see you next time. Cheers. Boo!